Yeah, he is a member of the Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. And Congressman, good to see you again 2 weekends in a row. Good for me. Before we get to the Mueller report, sir, I do want to get your reaction to what Republicans Ted Cruz and Jim Jordan said about your party's investigations into Trump and how it ties into the report. Let's take a listen to that.
They don't think this Mueller report's going to be the bombshell they all anticipated it was going to be. So now they're launching all kinds of other charges, all kinds of other investigations.
Yesterday, the Mueller report was the end-all and be-all. It was going to be the salvation for the Democrats and destroy President Trump. Now you can already see the Democrats pivoting away, saying, okay, well, we need to do other investigations.
So what is your party expecting from this report? And were Democrats using this, to quote the congressman, as a salvation to destroy Trump?
Thank you, Alex, for your question. Let me first say that the American people should be proud that this report even exists. Donald Trump tried on numerous occasions to block this investigation. The fact that Robert Mueller was able to complete it on his own terms, I think, shows the strength and vitality of our democracy and our institutions. Now this report must be made public. But Special Counsel Mueller's charge was narrow. He was looking at whether there was enough evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that someone committed a federal crime mostly related to Russia. Congressional committees have a much broader charge. We are interested in knowing did Donald Trump, his family, or his associates commit any crime? And second, did they engage in any ethical misconduct, whether or not it rose to the level of a crime? And those investigations will continue.
Your point is well taken there. So Democrats and Republicans this morning could not at all agree on whether there was collusion or obstruction because of the news that there would not be any further indictments from the special counsel. Can it ever be business as usual between Congress and the White House at this point?
It's hard to speculate without knowing what the report actually says. This report could exonerate Donald Trump. It could also say have indicted him, but for the fact that he's a sitting president. So there's a really large spectrum of possibilities. And the White House cannot use executive privilege to shield wrongdoing. So we have to see what the report says. And I also want to make sure that Attorney General Barr doesn't give a summary that is misleading. And I think he's very aware of that.
Congressman, if the report says, look, the only reason we can't pursue anything here is because we cannot indict a sitting president, what does that lead to? Because if that's the only reason and there is a sense that there's been some wrongdoing, what's next?
If the report actually says Donald Trump committed a number of crimes and that they can't indict because he's a sitting president, then it would be up to Congress to hold Donald Trump accountable, which means we have to see the entire report and all of its contents. We can't do our job under the way the framers set up the Constitution if we don't have this information.
So then, if you can't indict a sitting president, is it really a surprise that Mueller concluded his investigation without recommending criminal charges against the president?
That's a great point. It is not surprising to me. In addition, we know that Robert Mueller also farmed out a lot of criminal matters to other jurisdictions that they are pursuing. So it's very possible that the Southern District of New York is going to hand down additional indictments based on what they find. Again, Robert Mueller's mission was quite narrow. The other offices are interested in knowing, did Donald Trump, his family, or his associates commit any crime?
Senator Cruz also discussed the Democrats' impeachment strategy. Let's take a listen to what he said.
They're going to impeach the president for being Donald Trump. You asked Congressman Nadler whether the House is going to impeach the president. I'll answer that for you. Yes, and they don't care about the basis.
I mentioned that you were on with me last weekend, during which time we discussed all that happens with impeachment and your colleagues who've alleged the president has committed impeachable offenses. If your party is not going to impeach the president, why do Republicans swear by it?
I don't know what Senator Cruz is saying because Speaker Nancy Pelosi's statements basically contradict what Senator Cruz has just said. And in the Judiciary Committee, we don't have a record yet. We have interesting reporting. We've got interesting news articles. We have statements people have made. What we need are to gather documents, interview witnesses under oath, produce a record, and then we'll have a conversation with the American people on how to proceed after our investigation is concluded.
If the DOJ does not fully release Mueller's findings, will you consider this a government cover-up, or are you willing to trust Barr's assessment because it has been widely reported that Barr and Mueller have maintained a level of mutual respect for years?
The American people in Congress absolutely need to see the entire report. There are two rules in the Department of Justice. One is you can't indict a sitting president, which I believe is nowhere found in the Constitution, by the way. But second, there's a rule that says if you don't indict someone, you can't say anything about them. Well, based on that, then we would essentially get a one-line summary from the Attorney General. So one of those two rules has to be broken, and now we're going to see what Attorney General Barr does with sort of the predicament that he's in.
So will the Judiciary Committee on which you sit, will you essentially pick up where the special counsel left off?
We will be informed by the special counsel's investigation, but again, our mission is much broader. We're interested in knowing, did anyone in the executive branch commit any federal crimes? And second, did they engage in any ethical misconduct? So those investigations are going to keep on going.
Okay. Congressman Ted Lieu, I want to thank you very much for joining me as always.